Hello, welcome back to my little workshop on the side of the highway. Last time we were here, before we ran out of batteries, we'd been working on the bow saw. We got to the point where we'd made some joints, we'd marked them out A and B, they go together like that. In that period of time they've dried out a little bit, they've got a little bit wonky, but that's okay because when we want to pull in at the top and tension the blade, so a little bit of shrinkage has worked in our favour. Otherwise we would have had to have taken to the edges of the joints and just loosen them off a little bit so that they would work in that plane but not rotating, they wouldn't rotate. Okay, so we're at the point where we need to mount the blade. So we've got the blade, it's going to position between the ends of the frame. So we're going to make a little saw cut that the blade will slip into, and we're going to pin it in place with a nail. So this is where I'm at. I'm sitting on a different stool today, I've got one with a vise on it. So we're going to close the vise up on the frame like that. We're going to insert the tenon into the mortise hole, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of a twist there. We need that to be nice and straight in line with the saw when we make that saw cut. I've also brought with me a little Japanese saw. It's got a handle that I made. I just bought the blade, and I'm just going to line that blade up looking down on top of the saw like that to make sure it's nice and straight. Now as you can see, the saw blade fits almost all the way in there. I'd like it to drop down in a little bit further, so we've got plenty of room to get a pin through there without it pulling out of our end grain. So just a bit longer cut. There we go. It's stuck down underneath the timber. Now I'm just going to turn that around like this. Fit A into A. Set that over there like that. It's formed a split. In the last 6 months this timber has dried out a bit and it's now got a bit of a split in it. It won't bother us too much at all. As long as the pin goes through there, it'll be okay. Okay, the blade's down below the level of the handle side of the frame. I'm going to just put that in the vise. And I'm going to fish around in my bag and come up with a little hand drill, egg beater hand drill, and a box of drills. The correct size drill bit to use is the one that will pass through, just pass through. There we go, that one there. It's an imperial size, 5/32, probably about 4 millimeters. Okay. Nice and tight in there. Put the blade in so we can see what's level. I can see already it's rising up towards me. I'll just drop that down in the vise, make life easier. And I'm going to take the knife, I'm going to line it up with the hole just there, and I'm going to scribe a line across the top. That's about where I'm going to put the hole through. It's going to line up with that split, so I'm going to pull it back towards me just a little bit to miss the split. Centre mark, and my drill's going in that hole there like that. Okay, we're through the other side, keep cranking to get it back out. That's the first one done. Just look down through the hole and yep, that's going to line up okay. Next one. I'll mount the next arm of the frame in the vise. I'll put the saw blade in there to line it up. Poke it through a little bit longer so I can see where the hole is. Use my blade to scribe a line. Use my blade to center punch this arm of the saw. And back with the egg beater drill a little hole right through there. A couple of largish nails. So the blade will go through the slot there like that. And the nail will push through the hole there like that. And later on we'll trim that off. We might even use the saw to do it later. The other side drops into the slot just there. And drop a nail through there as well. Let's turn that over so that the mortise hole is on the inside. These mortise and tins, they're marked A and B. We did that before, and they need to go back that way to be happy. There's two more things we're going to need. We're going to need a length of cord, and we're going to need a little tensioning stick. And we're just going to reach down to the ground here, and we're going to find some of the leftover scrap from the last time we were here. I've got this branch. I think that's what I hit the cameraman with last time. And you can see it's got my whittling marks on the end. We're just going to find a fairly thin piece. I'll whoop that out of there. 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, 8 cuts, break. Now, on the high side of the square shape, take a piece off, turn, take a piece off, turn, round we go, and we'll just square that off. We're going to do the pull cut where I hold the blade and it just travels the length of the squeeze of my hand. Showed you that last time. Don't go sticking a knife in yourself. When I used to teach this, anybody who cut themselves in my class had to bring cake the next week. hopefully with a big YouTube following, I'll never be without cake. This little bit will be a bit more than half the length of the blade, so, and we'll trim that off there. 2 cuts, 2 cuts, making a square taper like before. Break it off, trim it off nice. Certainly beats aeroplanes, doesn't it? Okay. You can have a little bit of inventive expression with the tensioning stick. You can take a knife to it and you can sculpt it up. I have a few that I've done where I've put a half twist in it. I'll just cut a flat plane on this side, turn it over 180 degrees, and I'm going to cut a flat plane on this side. A little bit of a spatula end, opposing flats. It just amuses me. Nice piece of cord this is. This is 3mm cord, 3mm, oh, 1/8 of an inch. Doesn't matter, don't care. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lengths, just for fun. If you want to heat the end of that up and stop it from fraying, that's probably a good idea too. I'll just take a little bit of a loop, just a little slip knot like that. Get closer. Do that where you can see it on the screen. We're going to tie a little slip knot, just like that. Okay, the slip knot goes over one of these ends. We'll bring this around. And then we're going to go over and through, over and through. We're just going to weave this together a little bit, just so that cord finishes off. Up and down, warp and weft. We're going to take our tensioning piece, goes through and around it goes. Once, twice, crank it up, good and tight. There we go. You can probably get that half tone tighter. If you're doing this with green wood, it's a really good idea to let the tension off quite a bit when you're not using it, because it's going to keep on bending. So look at that, nice and stiff. Let's see if it'll cut something. I've got it set as a pull saw, but if I hold it this way, it's a push saw. So let's see which one we like. You do it the way you want it. Wow, look at that. Now, around there is a pull saw. Isn't that excellent? There's your saw. It's made. As we discussed in the first video, This is an 18 tooth hacksaw blade, and if you want to do fine cutting, a little bit of dovetail work, this will do really nice fine cutting dovetail work. If you want to cut fine pieces of timber, this will cut them without ripping out. Nice fine texture on that cut. That's really nice. But there are options. I picked this one up at a slightly specialist tool shop. That's a beautiful little blade. I mean, that is gorgeous. And that's close enough to the same length. It's 40 millimeters deep and it's 350 millimeters long. So that's 350, 14 inches. If it's not 14 inches, that will appear down in the corner of the screen here telling you what it is. We could quite easily swap this out, put that in there, and just change this crossbar because it would need to be just a little bit longer. The holes are a little bit thicker. If I was using this blade, I'd want something a little bit thicker going through there. I've got these little bolts with me, but they're not real thick. 5 mil, a little under 1/4 inch. They'll locate into that keyhole shape quite well. If for some reason you don't want to drill a hole for the nail to go through, what you can do is to cut a little notch on this side of the frame. Then, with the blade going clean through the frame, you can drop the nail in from the other side. It will sit in that notch, and when you tension up the blade, it'll hold there quite well. Just don't leave those nails sticking out for too long. If you've got a spare one somewhere, just put it in the vise, cut it off with this blade. This blade will cut it off, then swap one out and cut the next one off, you're done. You can actually use the tool to make the tool. Much better with those nails gone, isn't it? Everybody needs to know that you need to press the subscribe button, and for the 5 of you who have subscribed, thank you very much, and I'll see you with the next project. And don't forget to give it a polish with some boiled linseed oil.